Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the movie Hotel Transylvania 2. And I actually enjoyed this one better than the first one, even though I do have some problems with it. Mainly that we have Mel Brooks in this, and he's like only in the last like 20-some minutes of it. I'm like, he's like an awesome dude, like, I need more Mel Brooks. He plays Count Dracula's father, Vlad. Father Vlad. Oh, sorry, tongue twisters. But I did like what we kind of got from him. So this one seems to me to have a better kind of tightly contained and better paced story, dealing with Mavis and Johnny having a son, Dennis, and everything that kind of entails from those kind of things. Also, Dennis's favorite kind of like hero is Batman in the beginning before transferring to Drac. So I'm like, yeah, Batman, sure. Also works that they're bats and vampires and stuff. So, let's see. Come on. This one is about 89 minutes. But I like this because of how much it was a tighter one. We get the wedding, Mavis detailing that she's pregnant and seeing her as the bat pregnant, which was very kind of interesting. Johnny did ask if she loses her clothes when she turns into a bat, or does she get tiny bat clothes in the first one, so that was a kind of funny little thing. And for some reason, Dracula nicknamed Dennis Desenovich as his vampire name. So we see that the kid's kind of growing up, living at the hotel and everything, not really being exhibiting any kind of vampiric tendencies, and that becomes pretty much the central crux of the movie. But it also leads out to the main kind of issue I had towards the end, mainly because the plot demands that we gotta finish this fucker quick, so things just get expedited on a level that you're like, fuck me. So we see that Mavis is really kind of protected, the kind of controlling helicopter kind of parroting tendencies that Mavis has endured kind of hovers over on Dennis. She hasn't built an entire village to showcase the humans being completely and utterly gnarly. We are also getting different kind of integration with the monsters and the humans, not to the level that they're all staying at the hotel, but like Johnny's family comes and kind of does stuff for Dennis's birthday and all that. So it's like, okay, cool. So we're pretty much nearing his 5th birthday, and that evidently is what's kind of considered the kind of crux year for vampires. They grow their fangs then, or they don't. So this is really kind of weighing on Drac, mainly because it starts to expedite certain kind of things of like, okay, in order for them to stay here, Mavis would want him to be a vampire, so he's pretty much going to try and do all these kind of things and showcase how to be a monster to him. Mavis is wondering if maybe they should have him in the human world because he eats human foods. He usually goes to bed at certain kind of times, even though he has a kind of love interest in Winnie, the one pup from Wayne. So they seem to have a pretty good relationship, even though she kind of plays a little bit more rough with him. It's not like she fucking thunder chucks his ass through a roof or anything like that. It's mainly when I say rough, it's mainly about like a tackle kind of thing that kind of takes him a couple yards away, but not to the extent where you would think he'd bash his fucking head in. By the way, I love his design of his hair pretty much almost being as big as his head, so it's like, holy fucking shit. And evidently, reading certain kind of things, they were going to make his hair even bigger, and they're like, we can't animate that shit. That's too much fucking hair. Always try and balance, my friends. Always try and balance. But we see that this dovetails into Drac's kind of plans to pretty much take Mavis out into the real world and show her how humans work, like, and gets Johnny in on it, being like, sure, a good time, but not too good of a time. So that way she would want to stay there with him. That's kind of a thing towards the end that I'm kind of like, we'll see. Now, a really kind of cool thing is just seeing her kind of, I really like the pacing that the main focus is on Drac trying to figure out and get Dennis to pop his fangs to become a vampire, but also then see Mavis go and see a convenience store, work with like doing stuff with BMX bikes, which incidentally follows another kind of trend of a weird kind of thing that we see Johnny doing this stuff with the bike in here, and then he does a bike thing towards the end of the battle, and it's just like, why the fuck is this back? We don't need it here. But seeing her do all these kind of crazy tricks, and Johnny being like, that's my girlfriend, and she's like, I'm your weapon. Even better! It's like, and I'm like, I did also like, she's talking about like how she learned this kind of stuff in Transylvania, and this one little girl's like, I have a cousin in Pennsylvania. I'm like, hey, shout out to the state. But we see that even Johnny's parents are trying to help out, that there are monster and human couples around as well. However, one is just mainly like a fish dude, and then one that she thought was a werewolf was just a hairy kind of dude. And so like, what the fuck? And she's like, we got cupcakes. I'm like, you insulted me, but I will take my cupcake, please. It depends. They just didn't give a crap. Now, if this person makes good cupcakes and they look like good cupcakes, well, no. Looks can be deceiving. I had an aunt that's like made this kind of cake, and she's like, if you laugh at it, you don't get any. And I'm like, you're making me cake. I mean, thank you. Like, I know that sounds weirdly tangential, but like, looks. I mean, part of this whole series is like looks and stuff like that. Blobby was more of an interesting kind of like weird thing because he gets kind of like tacked on with the kind of stuff. We also get like contemporary music again with certain kind of things like, okay. So we get Drac pretty much babysitting. So he then enlists his friends to pretty much showcase how to be a monster, even though Dennis is trying to like go to sleep. We do get Mavis every so often trying to FaceTime. No, these are Sony phones. That's a kind of funny thing, because Johnny is more kind of in the background, but yet he's still got certain kind of things. He wants to have like date night with Mavis, however she's helicopter parenting Dennis so much, and he's like, oh fuck, trying to show Drac how to text and everything like that. And the main kind of issue is that one, he's got long fingernails, and it's just not really kind of working for it. And they're mainly Sony phones. I'm like, I would like Sony to have kept those kind of... It's really kind of weird. I know you're kind of like, what the fuck are you going on about? I like showcasing that kind of stuff, dovetailing with Johnny being like, I kind of want to just hang out with my wife too. Not that he's attempting to neglect his kid, because he does take care of his kid as well. But he's like, hey, can we like, you need to balance that time and perspective. I'm like, good. It's really kind of weird. It's like, yeah, I know it's a complete Sony movie. I'm like, damn, I really wish that we would see actual different kind of cell phones as well. Like, okay, Sony, put more out there. It's really kind of weird when you can dovetail it with the text and everything, and that like tech and everything going on, because Johnny's also doing stuff with the kind of social media, and we're like, well, good luck with that, especially with how social media platforms have just become so unshitified and just completely not worth anything on certain kind of marketing efforts. I know that's kind of weird, but it kind of fills in with everything like this. We then have them kind of going out. The monsters attempting to showcase how to be monsters. Frankenstein attempting to scare some people, but of course, like, they're like, we're going to this dark-ass wood where we used to scare the shit out of people. And Frankenstein tries to do that, and they're like, can we get a selfie? He's like, alright. Wayne attempting to pretty much, they want him to fucking eat this kind of deer, and he'd eaten like a whole herd of sheep in the first one. But he's like, fine, I'll kind of do this. But then somebody throws a frisbee, and he just gets like knocked on with that. We get the mummy attempt to do this whole kind of like curse thing, sandstorm, and pretty much throws the fuck out of his back. And I also get a thing with the invisible dude that's like attempting to have like a girlfriend and everything, and then at first making jokes of it. I'm like, he's just doing it by himself, holding like 2 glasses and stuff like that before actually getting a girlfriend later on that is invisible. Let's see. And then we go to this kind of old vampire camp that Drac had pretty much gone to. And I do kind of like them exploring what is kind of going on because of the differences between when he was there and what they're doing now. Dana Carvey doing the kind of like camp director person, as we see them kind of doing T-mousing and a safer kind of jump thing, seeing this rickety ass thing. It's like, listen, Drac, you had horrible fucking shit done to you. Don't do the same shit to your grandson. Pretty much chucking him off the top of the tower, and the guy's being like, he ain't flying, man. He gonna fucking dust his own ass, man. And then Drac flies down. And we also see that, like, Vlad had done stupid, horrible shit And he finally comes to terms with it. At first, you would think it's being done as the kind of thing, oh, this generation is soft and weak and shit like that. It doesn't completely come off like that, but I wish that they had kind of... It's mainly in the presenting and the execution. It's mainly done mainly from Drax, where it's like, this isn't going to help you out, but we see the people being able to transform. This becomes important later on when I kind of have a certain kind of issue with what happens towards the end. Not how this is structured, but power and move scales and power sets, moves, how you kind of learn how to utilize your powers and shit. Because if people talk about other people being kind of like Mary Stu, Gary Stu, just being able to do shit at the drop of a hat, we pretty much get that fucking happen at the end. So, that also gets sent to Mavis, and then we pretty much get the whole kind of funny bit of them. Like, the Blob dude pretty much got, like, thunderchucked because they pretty much bolted a rascal to the goddamn thing, and then he kind of, like, flew off for a little bit, and then he comes back, and they have to try and outrace Mavis back to the hotel because they said that he was at the hotel. And, of course, I love the kind of way that this was this happened, because Drac doesn't understand the social media and everything that goes on with these cell phones, and this comes vastly to his detriment. Also, Frankenstein actually only lit the whole kind of shit on fire, because the tower fell down, blew up, everything was kind of going to shit. And she tries to pretty much FaceTime him. I say FaceTime, but it's with, like, video call. So, because the cell phones are Sony. That's kind of where that tangent was going. I'm like, oh, they're Sony ones. And she's pissed. And then we gotta get back there, back there. Johnny found out because of, like, YouTube kind of analog, where it's like, yeah, you think you can get away with this shit. And to a certain degree, if you're savvy enough to understand what kind of goes on with technology, you could potentially pass that shit. Drac isn't. And the thing is, it kind of gets worse and worse with, like, the surveillance tech that goes on. I bring that up for kind of like Ferris Bueller kind of thing. Like, Ferris Bueller could get away with it and was like by the skin of his ass on a lot of kind of shit. You would, like, you think you're doing something kind of cool? You better make sure there isn't some bored fucking asshole within about 30 fucking feet of you if you're gonna fucking like thunderchuck your grandkid off of a giant rickety ass tower. And Drac didn't understand that. And then of course he gets back there and Mavis is pissed. Like, hey, yeah. Yeah, Mavis was also kind of feeling a little bit weirded out because the parents are trying to do their kind of best without completely understanding her, doing like Halloween kind of stuff for her room and all that. And then Johnny pretty much being like, yeah, if we're all together, we're good, man. Let's see. And Mavis pretty much like, listen, after Dennis's party, we're out of here. And I don't blame her. I don't, like, in certain kind of instances, you could tell her as a helicopter parent, your grandfather thunderchucking your kid off a rickety-ass building, like a rickety-ass tower? Yep, that's grounds for, fuck this shit, we out. So, they pretty much have the party and everything, and for some inexplicable reason, Mavis has, invited Vlad, Drac's father. And that pretty much entails the kind of crux of what's kind of going on towards the end of this. Because he's more of an old school. And I don't know what the fuck's going on with the Bella? Bella kind of monstrous bat-like servant Bella is what the Wikipedia says. I don't know if Bella and the rest of these are vampires, what kind of goes on with that, because this is the only kind of man-bat form that we've seen, other than, like, bat form. It's like, what the fuck's kind of going on with this? So, Bella and Vlad kind of pop up. We see that they got Keiki, the favorite monster of Dennis, because that was shown off. It was kind of like Cookie Monster. And Vlad's like, oh, okay. Johnny's kind of pretending to be the Gary Oldman Dracula one. That one is fucking nuts. Okay. Depending upon your age, this is like the 90s kind of one. It's got Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder and Gary Oldman as Dracula. It is a nutty... Oh, and Anthony Hopkins is in it. It is a nutty one. The costuming is fucking nuts. Like, it's good, but it's campy. It's like, why do you have a baboon's ass on your head? Or like, my grandma... That looks like my grandma's boobies and shit. It's like, yeah, it... If you grew up watching these film series and you're old enough and you don't want to get like complete like and you're all right with scary ass shit, go check that one out. You will appreciate Johnny's costume more, even though it was the last kind of one. So he's trying to pass himself off as a vampire to Vlad, and then we learned that even Drac was a late fanger as well, and that Vlad did the same shit of scaring him and twisting something that was a pivotal part of Drac. We don't know what that is or learn what that is, but Vlad tries to do the same thing with Keiki, turning him and making him pretty much scare Dennis, and we see that like Dennis is freaking the fuck out, and Drac's like, no, I can't. Like, I love that it showcases like, yeah, this isn't right, and sometimes it takes it happening to your grandson or your kid to be like, this happened to me. Like, you rationalize it. That you didn't have any power. My parents did this thing to me. I should be okay. This kid should be okay. But then seeing the negative effects that are happening to his kid, his grandson, he's like, no, fuck that shit. Stop this shit. Stops it. Keiki's like, fuck this. You better not fucking give me a bad review, motherfucker. And just kind of bolts out. And Vlad's like, what are we almost had him? He's like, no, it's not worth it. I won't let you take away something from my grandson. It's not worth it. And I love that. Like, I like a lot of the stuff that kind of goes on in the movies, but my favorite kind of things that I kind of latch on to are when they really execute the kind of thematic kind of elements of understanding that, like, just because your parents and those before you did these kind of things doesn't mean it's right for you to do them for others, even if you think you're doing it in their best interest. If your parents put you out in the wilderness to try and fight a wolf, and you believe that that made you a stronger person, doesn't mean that you should do that to, like, your 5-year-old kid to try and make sure that they get monster powers. It's like, holy fucking shit. And then we also see that Johnny's family also popped up along the same time, even though, like, Mavis was able to, like, thunderfuck her way right to the fucking hotel pretty quickly. They're dressed up as zombies to pretty much, like, put Vlad off. They're like, nah, we're people too. Let's see. Of course, he gets Vlad's pissed off at Drac, and Drac's like, hey, fuck you, your kid. Why aren't you accepting them? Fuck that shit. The kid's half human. Which we don't really see. He mainly puts himself out as pretty much human throughout the whole film until we get to this kind of point, and then we don't really see any kind of downsides here. It's like, what? And that's not even going kind of like superpower Daywalker kind of route of like, I have no vampire weaknesses kind of shit. But let's kind of get to it. We see that Dennis kind of escaped with Winnie, and they're like, he's like afraid that he's got to leave here because he's not a monster. When he's like, fuck that shit, I like you. And it's like, yeah, I like that showcasing of like, listen, like, it's that systemic shit that you kind of learn of like, oh yeah, kids aren't built on that kind of shit. They're like, listen, we just got to figure out how to make this work kind of shit. I'm like, there you go. Let's see here. So, Bella's pretty much, like, trying to, like, get his ass and, like, pretty much destroy the hotel and everything because it, like, represents evil to him and, like, consorting with humans and everything. And then hurts Winnie, and this, of course, pisses off Dennis, whose fangs pop. He's able to transform into a bat and fight like ain't nobody's business, like Batman, before also towards the end of the movie saying that like Dracula is his favorite kind of hero now. We also saw him acting as Batman earlier, and it's like, okay, that's kind of cute. But he like has no downsides here and is able to utilize his powers without flaw, just beating the shit out of these bat people that kind of pop up And this is of course where we get Johnny with his like little bike thing to like fight one thing. Mavis and Drac beating unholy ass like ain't nobody's business, which is pretty awesome seeing that like father-daughter kind of thing going on. Like, alright, let's see. And every monster kind of has their own kind of thing to kind of do some interesting things. Blobby capturing like 5 of them inside themselves was like, what the fuck? Bella gets screwed over by Vlad because Vlad's like, listen, fuck this shit. Alright, being able to like turn over a new leaf and work within the realm as well. It's like, alright, cool. So of course they decide to stay there because he's got his abilities now. And they resume the party and all that. Which, that's kind of like my biggest kind of problem. This solves the whole kind of issue of kind of like the acceptance and being who they are. We pretty much get the kind of answer just like, he's a vampire, fuck it, he's fine now. Instead of dealing with like, okay, he is human, he is vampire, what can he do, how do we kind of deal with this, and kind of acceptance of yourself. We kind of have that throughout the whole movie before it kind of gets like skewed off when we go with this, oh, he has vampire powers anyway, so, okay, fine, cool. So that way he's able to deal with this whole kind of thing. I rather kind of wish that like, if anything, he could have like done half a fang or whatnot, have like only certain kind of powers or whatnot, or being able to fight as himself as a human. See, this is where like the movie kind of like goes for me, because I like the thematic kind of elements, especially with Drac, but here's where it kind of like screws itself on that, because it's putting this of like acceptance of monsters, acceptance of people, acceptance of who you are, and then it's like, okay, I got my superpowers now, and it kind of fixes the things when it really shouldn't. It's kind of an easier kind of plot thing of like, shit, we gotta end in the movie. Let's just make him a vampire so that way we can just leave this off. However, that could also factor into the effect of like, franchise! Nothing can end, we gotta keep them at the Monster Hotel instead of working long-distance relationships. Understanding if Johnny and Mavis and Dennis would potentially want to take over the Monster Hotel, Hotel Transylvania, and what would happen if humans were in charge and deciding to protect people, and what they would have to deal with of understanding monster needs and protecting them from other humans that would do them harm. And the thing is, I kind of would have liked also a balancing kind of effect of that, because we've got monsters going against humans with Bella. I would have liked to have seen another antagonistical force of maybe the humans attempting to do something, where we then get a group of like the monster-loving humans from the festival, from the first one, helping out with the monsters to protect them from the asshole fuckers that you'd have to attend to be like, fuck you, and then the monsters, of course, fighting after the asshole monsters, being like, we must take down all the humans kind of shit. It fucks over the kind of whole kind of message, in my opinion. Not completely, but enough to be like, otherwise, I really enjoyed it of what it was kind of going through and seeing on, because Dennis was mainly himself. Now, him being himself still works out here of protection of Winnie, because that's his friend. And, of course, zing of what's kind of going on. It's just, I wish they had done it in a way that it stayed true to the thematic core of what they were attempting to do, rather than be like, fuck, we need this kind of awesome action set piece kind of thing. And trust me, I love action set pieces when they work within the themes and the character and understanding what's kind of going on there. This kind of went a little bit further off than I would have wanted, and especially with him just being able to like do everything whole ass hand without having any kind of training and being just like, alright, cool, he could just like bat up every which way and loose and has like the strength of like a fucking adult at this point of like, what the shit. Yeah. So, those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.